Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a different kind of a video. I do these videos sometimes, usually just once a year, and I mean, you probably already know what it is by looking at the title, but welcome to my show challenge. I would like to apologize in advance, as I'm probably going to make some of you suffer for those of you who participate, but you know, the point is to have fun, and I feel like once you figure things out, it is usually fun. So first of all, I should probably really explain what the show challenge is by itself, because I don't think everyone knows. It's really a challenge from the Sims community. At least that's how I remember it. And I'm just basically going to explain the rules of my personal challenge, you know, just to keep it simple, just to know what it's like. But basically, we have the show, right? And one thing you can't do is you cannot delete or add anything to these walls, on the outside at least. We have this, and you're supposed to work with it. You're supposed to make this the exterior of your house, but if you were to add an interior wall, that is completely allowed because you're building on the inside. When it comes to this part downstairs, it is also an interior part, and this is the only one that you sadly cannot delete. You're supposed to work around it. That's the whole challenge. The whole point of this challenge is to basically have fun. It's to give yourself a challenge while building. You know? That's what makes it fun. Hello here, it's Lucas the editor. I feel absolutely ashamed to even admit this, but I somehow managed to forget to put in the shell layout. So I'm just gonna leave it here so you could copy it if you want to. But yeah, that's it. Although I did say that you cannot delete these walls, there is one exception it's if you were to make a custom window, for example with basic shapes, which I'm gonna do in just a second. Because sometimes when you're doing a modern build or something, I like to use basic shapes instead of just regular windows because at times they do look better. So if you were to do that, it still kind of looks like a wall and you can still consider it as one. So as long as it's like that, you can definitely do it no matter the size of the window. You know, as long as it still functions as the outside wall, you can do it with no problem. The one thing is, you cannot add things on the upper floors or in the basement, except if you want to elevate the build with landscaping and whatnot. That is allowed, but you can't add any extra floors to the house. I think we got that clear. And if you want to make like a restaurant or a museum out of the show, you're completely allowed to do that. You don't have to make just a house. Just let your creativity surprise me. You know, I love to be surprised though, honestly. But I'm also really, really excited to see what you guys end up coming up with. It's a good way to see how creative you guys are. Another thing is that in the past, I've actually seen a couple of builders in The Sims actually use a shell and add it into like a city build or something. You can make extra buildings as long as they're not connected to the shell itself. For example, if you were to make a guest house, you could do that. It just can't be connected to the shell. You know, if you were to just add like a building near the shell, that you can do that. And lastly, just give yourself a challenge and actually try to do the interior. I know it may sound hard, but trust me, once you finish it, it is actually worth it. But that's pretty much it with the rules. And now we're gonna head into the fun part, which is where I'm gonna showcase what I made, because I can't just leave you guys like this. So, surprise, this is actually what I made. I did actually post a sneak peek of it a long time ago. I think it's been a month now. And that's for how long I've been working on this build, but I made a villa in Tulum, basically. I wanted something tropical, and since I haven't made a modern build in ages, I thought I was just gonna do a modern build, and as you can see, you can basically do a lot of things with the shell. You can make this into a modern house, a traditional one, anything, you know, whatever you want. And actually, I'm really excited for the commercial builds. If any of you guys have any ideas, I'd really love to see some, but right now I'm just kind of flying over all of the outside areas since this house has a lot. I made a street next to it as well. As you can see, that's also not breaking any of the game rules because the shell is separated. You know, the main focus is still the shell, the house, but I suppose it's finally time to get into the layout. As you can see, the shell is still here. It's all there, and I tried to use every little corner as possible. I made this small little thing. It was so painful to figure out what I wanted to do, but I did make this into a half bath. As you can see, the whole layout is basically just around this little nook. We have a bedroom here, a bathroom, a laundry room, the kitchen, the living, the dining. I made some custom stairs. The upstairs is pretty simple as well. It turned out to be a 3-bedroom house, which is definitely not bad. We have a small office area here, a bedroom, a bathroom, the master is over here. And of course, outside we have lots of different areas as well. Something that really helped me with this build is the use of roofs and balconies, is that I could kind of alter the form of the house. So as you can see, I used lots of floors, and it's not cheating, you know? I didn't technically make any walls. You can also add balconies. That is not cheating, and lots of skylights as well. I feel like skylights definitely make this house. Heading out of build mode, we can see the street. I really wanted to kind of create the Tulum vibe, something to make it a bit more realistic. And we have a small parking space for your car, and then the gate to enter the house is through here, and also that opens as well. We're greeted with this area from the beginning, and as you can see, this is the entrance. Since this is an Airbnb, I kind of wanted to make a box for your keys, as obviously when you rent out an Airbnb, you're given instructions on how to pick up the keys from the key box. I thought this was a small touch that I think it's kind of necessary. You know, it just kind of fully gives off the Airbnb vibes. But as we enter inside, we're greeted with the foyer, the stairs, and I tried to go for something more on the brutalist side, but also add a lot of the tropical elements. The bedroom is this way, and I wanted to keep it a bit more on the minimal side. My decision was to place the bed facing the windows, that way you just kind of get the whole experience. And then back here it's the dresser and, you know, all the stuff you might need to roleplay. One thing I do is I always like to make my builds fully functional, so this house is as well. We have the bathroom here. It's just a basic ensuite bathroom. It's really nothing too special, but I do like how the shape turned out to be, and that's all thanks to the shell. I feel like shell challenges definitely push you out of your comfort zone, and it's really fun to figure things out when it's difficult. For example, this layout. I feel like there are multiple ways on how you could do this house. Many options on how to do the layout, so I'm really just excited to see how you guys do it personally. Of course, I just wanted to make this build to show you what you could do out of the shell. We all have different ideas, but I think it's useful when you see someone do it, and you know, maybe this build will help you get some ideas on what you could do with yours. And this is the laundry room. I was kind of going for more like of a Kim K style with this sink that's actually not touching the window. It's actually just in the middle of the room, and I really like this design. I feel like it really adds that modern touch. Heading to the main living spaces, we have the dining room first. I kind of like its position. It's very, I'd say it's minimal again. And to be honest, I had a really hard time figuring out the layout of these living spaces. I didn't know how I want the couches to be, where to place the dining table, but I figured it out eventually. I also think the windows are really good use of the diagonal wall. You could definitely make this into a modern extension if you're making a more traditional house. And here we have the kitchen. The kitchen is kind of squeezed into the corner, but I kind of like it. It's still connected to all of the living spaces, and the floor plan just kind of flows. One goal that I had with this kitchen is to point out this view. Instead of a backsplash, I decided that it was a good idea to actually just put a big window. I never did that before, and I'm actually really happy that I decided to go for this, and I think it really turned out to be worth it. It really makes the kitchen what it is. Going into the backyard, we have lots of different seating areas. This is just more like a casual one. If you don't want to sit inside, you could just sit outside, and then we have some loungers, a pool that is very long. You could definitely do some laps here. Actually, I wouldn't really mind doing that myself, except this isn't in real life. You know, maybe one day. But here we have the outdoor kitchen. I knew I really wanted to make one. I really like how it's just behind the one on the interior. To be fair, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do in this specific space, but I'm kind of glad that I figured it out, and I just decided to do I want to go to work? No, thank you. Anyways, going over here, we have the outdoor dining area and the small bench where you could sit and relax. But another thing, how I actually hit the layout a bit is just placing trees like that. Honestly, I'm telling you, this is one of my build secrets, but if something looks ugly, just cover it up with a tree and it's gonna fix everything. The dining area is pretty simple. I didn't really want to make anything special, as I wanted to point out the interior more. I wanted to make it the main thing of this house. But of course, the backyard is still functional. We can do lots of activities here, which is really fun. And I think it's time to go upstairs, isn't it? My silly self actually forgot that there's a half bath that I didn't show you, which is probably one of the most important rooms in this shell. And yeah, this is the half bath. I don't know. I really wanted to keep it simple. You know, it's where your guests will come in, where you'll have them wash their hands and stuff. Also, I don't really know if you guys have noticed, but I tried to use every little nook with shelving and stuff like this. So for example, we have this over here. And if we go to the kitchen, I also added a custom wine cellar. And this is that 1x1 square that I also put in, which you can't delete on the interior. The one really fun thing is that you need to figure out what to do with these kind of rooms. I know it sounds tough, but the challenge of it is very fun, and once you figure it out, it's so satisfying. And there was actually a 1x2 space over here that I decided to kind of fill up with these cabinets, the fridge, the oven, and it's really the use of these small little corners that make the challenge so fun. because you need to think of where to put things in, and that's just what makes the challenge. But over here we have a small office space, and I had this small little space left and I didn't know what to do with it. I was brainstorming and then I realized that we didn't have like an office space in the house, and I was like, wait, this is the perfect spot for it. That's I guess how this little nook was born. But now I think we can head into the 2 bedrooms upstairs, and in the first one we have this really huge window, and I just kind of wanted to have a nice view to bring out that modernness in the house. Even though it's really not that big of a bedroom, I still made it functional. And for example, if you want to change clothes or something, there's a dresser here, which is actually functional. Even if it is small, it's fully usable and you can fully roleplay here. And I suppose that's another fun thing, is to just try to use the space that you have and make things functional. At least it was fun for me. Of course, you don't have to participate in this challenge if you don't want to, but honestly, it kind of makes the game fresh and new and fun again when you have something to do, something different. And that's why I kind of do that myself, because when I do speed builds constantly, it kind of gets boring to do the same thing over and over again. And builds like these, they kind of bring back your motivation. So for those of you who build on my channel, I really highly recommend participating. It's going to be really fun, and I'm really excited to see all your submissions. But we finally came to another bathroom. This is the second full bathroom in the house. It's really nothing too different from the one that we saw downstairs. This one just has a bathtub and you can see the tree. But now I suppose it's time to see the master suite, which in my opinion is one of my favorite rooms in this house. To separate the 3 rooms, I use these wall dividers, which they're kind of like a wall, but they're not. And I think it really brings out that tropical feel, which I really wanted to achieve with this house. We have the closet here, and I made some Rumova custom luggage. Don't really know if many of you know what this is, but it's a really nice luggage brand. I've been obsessed with it recently. And then on the other side, we obviously have the master bathroom. And this turned out to be pretty big, but I do like how it's so spacious. It definitely gives me the master feel. And I actually added a balcony. And in this balcony, we have an outdoor bathtub because you're in Mexico. Why be inside when you can be outside? You know, the nature is so beautiful. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire tour. We also have the balcony over here, and from up here you can basically see everything. But like I said, that's pretty much it for the tour. For those of you wondering about the build, I will definitely make a speed build series. It will be coming out sometime next week, at least part 1, so keep an eye out for it. So if you got this far, you're probably wondering how you can enter, and basically all you need to do is just use the Lookiokas summer shell hashtag either on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram. I'd obviously probably like a YouTube submission the most, just because it's the easiest to see the shell. Since shell challenges usually have deadlines, I'll make my deadline the 15th of August. Obviously, if you're watching this video after the 15th, you can still participate. It's just, I'll only get to see the builds up until the 15th. After the 15th, I'll make a video reviewing most of the submissions, picking my favorite ones. I'm really excited to see what most of you guys come up with, and I'm just really happy to be hosting this. But yeah, that's where I'll sign off. I want to wish you happy building, and I really hope you participate. But thank you so much for watching, and goodbye!